There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. We're here talking shop with two great creators today. I'm super excited about this because they're both related to one of my favorite companies in the whole industry, Scout. And it is so much fun because Scout is one of those companies that's sending out their books differently than everybody else. Scout has their stuff coming out through Lunar, through Diamond, and is self-shipping exciting release week where we have kind of official release days, but you might find it at some shops sooner than others. So in this case, we're talking specifically about quite a few things that are releasing from this next creator. Everyone, welcome Richard.
Hello, how you doing, Jen?
Sorry, there's a Dalek that's going to sneak up behind me because it's annoying. I always had a big empty space over there.
Kind of a bodyguard.
So why Scooter? I did not know that Scooter was your middle name nickname.
Well, it wasn't exactly, but I'm so glad you asked because I just happened to be involved in a little scoot action here. Scout's All Ages imprint, and been heading that up for Scout, and it's been so much fun. And there's so many things that we've got planned, and already so many things we've released this year. But it's just going to get better and better and better. And our All Ages imprint is so important to us, and I'm really honored to be a part of it.
So I know that you've been with Scout for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Was it something that you brought to them that you wanted to be in charge of, or did it just like work out for you to match up when they were thinking about doing it?
It just worked out for me to match up. I mean, Scout, of course, had a number of All Ages titles before, Little Guardians, Sabertooth Dan, and probably others that I'm forgetting right now, and I apologize to those creators. So they wanted to come out with an imprint, and it was really something that, believe it or not, with my lead title being Stabbity Bunny, it's really something that I could relate to and something I was excited about. And the partners there at Scout gave me a chance to kind of take the imprint and run, and we've been running ever since. We've had everything from some of the different things that we've embraced is maybe a slightly different approach to some of the products that we're putting out, because we with Scout, the Scoot imprint, we want everything to be evergreen. So we're either putting out a one shot that's not has no number on it at all, and then the trade paperbacks, and all of those things don't need to end up in your back issue bins. All those things can be ordered whenever you'd like to get them. They've got release dates, of course, but they're evergreen. We'll go back to print with those $1.99 number ones, and just keep that going. We've got a few things here. I'll show you, of course, my trade paperback Shadow Play, which is the series I've really enjoyed working with Clara Meath and Liesl Buenaventura on. But I just wanted to show you in comparison, the Scoot trade paperbacks that are coming out are more scholastic size. So they'll sit right next to Captain Underpants and Dogman and everything. And it goes on that shelf. This is one of our first $14.99 trade paperback releases, Singy and Timbo. Beautiful, beautiful book. And Giuseppe Falco did that one. And it's just a really fantastic story.
It's really smart for you guys to have chosen the scholastic size. mostly because that's going to be what the kids gravitate toward, because that's just what they've grown up with.
Sure.
And the other thing is it helps us as retailers to key in on the fact that it is designed for a different age group. Because sometimes it's a little, if it's the same size as a regular trade paperback, sometimes we just don't have time to really plow through it and make sure that it's, language free or whatever, adult content free. Sometimes it'll end up on the main rack, and then it's not where it's designed to be for the kids.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We're trying, and we're certainly open to feedback. And I know that I've talked to you before about some of the things that we were planning, and some other retailers as well, because we think that partnership is super important. We're trying to get those stories in the hands of, I guess, basically retailers are trying to get it into the hands of our all ages audience. Something that's coming out that you might not know about yet, because it'll be in your November previews, that we're doing. I'm really excited about is we're starting a brand new line within our imprint called Launch. And Launch, what we want to do, we've got 3 stages. And what we want to do is bridge that gap between the storybooks that the kids are reading to comic books. And it can be sometimes hard to go from those single panels right into like a 5-panel with a slide to the double page spread and everything else. So we start out with single panel pages that have very simple stage 1, where we have very simple vocabulary and a lot of sound effects and things more along those lines. And then we've got stage 2, which we bring up the vocabulary some. But in stage 3, we start introducing 1, 2, and 3 panel pages. So very simple sequential storytelling to kind of bridge that gap. And they're going to be 8x8, and they're going to be kids' books. Now,
Super Cats!
Super Cats is going to be one. And we've got, we're opening with Super Cats and with Bandit's Imagination. So we've got cats and dogs. And, try to hit both audiences there and be fair. And then we've got a number of other titles that'll be coming out with Launch as well. Super excited about that. We're going to be doing, we're releasing the same week. We're releasing two Super Cats and 2 of the Bandit's Imagination. So you'll have representations of stage 1, 2, and 3. And also for a store that maybe doesn't have a spot for some of that right now, or doesn't have a children's section, well, here's 4 books. You can start one. We're going to do a retailer pack that has all 4 books in it and a wraparound poster at a special price as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. I also wanted to remind everyone out there watching us on the experience, do type in your questions in the comments. If you've never met Richard before and have been interested about Stabbity Bunny or the huge inroads works that he's made into making sure that there's all age content that's available in our shops, ask away, because he's super friendly guy. I have some of my favorite things behind me that you've actually made happen. This is one of them. The Create a Comic is so brilliant. It says what it is, and it's easy for kids to afford, and then they get to make a comic in it.
Yeah. I happen to have one of those myself. And as you can see, with the great art by Dwayne Biddix did the kind of the bridging pieces there, and some of the foundational art was done by Michael Locoduc Duran did that. So it was a real fun book to do. We plan on doing more of that. And also, of course, coming out in August, we've got Scoot Frontiers, which is going to be a big magazine size, 72 pages with, I believe there are 7 individual stories in there, some of the Scout superstars, and also, though, premiering a number of series that haven't appeared anywhere before. Super Cats it'll be our first Super Cats Scout Comics appearance. Bandit will be in there as well. Misfits Clubhouse will be there. And we've got Carmen Courageous that we're premiering. And of course, we've got some of our Scoot before there was Scoot, Adventures of Byron. Chris is going to be doing a feature every magazine. There'll be a Byron's shorts in there. But
That was hilarious. So I have a
Yeah.
question. So it's been described to me that you guys are doing it kind of like the highlights that all of us grew up with that would come to the house and we would like be waiting at the mailbox to get it first and to do the things that are there fun things that, like I remember like the search and find.
Yes,
Those
absolutely. And thank you so much, because I have all my stuff before me. I get so excited about all the individual products. I kind of move on too quickly. But yes, Scoot Frontiers. What we tried to do is have a puzzle of some sort or an activity of some sort after almost every story. And the first issue is not every story, but every issue going forward, it will be every single story. One has a word find. One has a very simple puzzle, Super Cats, where it's different colored mice, and they've got to draw a line between the different colored mice to match them up. Then there's a challenge level of that, where the mice just maybe have a nicked ear or has different teeth or something. And on that one, they draw and connect those. On Cat Dad and Supermom, because that's a boy who imagines his parents are superheroes in his dreams. They're perfectly ordinary people, but our parents are superheroes to us, and in his dreams it kind of play out in the comic book form, some of the life lessons that he's learning. But on that one, it was pretty simple. It's a picture of them, and Jax is the little kid, and he's pointing, and he just says, "What makes your parents or parent super?" And then there's a line where you can go in and think about that and write some of the great things your mom, dad, or guardian, whoever is raising you, whoever is important in your life there is doing for you. There is coloring pages in the back, and this magazine is, while I'm sure some people might collect it because it has a number of first appearances, like I was saying, it's meant to be cut up, used, colored on, and enjoyed. There's coloring pages in the back. We put the dotted line on there, little scissor symbol there. In future issues, we're looking to actually have those pages be perforated where you can just tear them out. There's going to be short stories. There's going to be poems. And in issue 2, we're going to announce we're going to start on a monthly basis. We want a short story from a young person out there that we'll publish. We want a poem by a young person that we'll publish. We want to have examples of your coloring pages. And there might be a place where we can take those and also just display them on the Facebook page, which is Scoot Imprint, where we kind of are trying to build a fan base there, build a community, and let people know what we're up to and get feedback as we go. But we definitely, one of the most important steps to us is doing that. We want to partner with some of the art schools and have some of the newest up and coming talent. Maybe they've got an idea for an all ages friendly story they want to put out there. We want to speak to those classes. We want to, go through and try to maybe select a story that we can put out in the magazine that way as well.
Oh, that sounds so exciting. And I had forgotten about that. Now that you mentioned the people sending in their art and things,
Mm-hmm.
I totally remember that part of why I loved highlights so much, is because I could see other kids' like their drawings and what they had sent in as their favorite stuff. It was so cool as a kid to have a thing that was very, very own.
Yeah, exactly. Something you could both participate in and also know your peer group was reading and that they're communicating through there. Of course, now with our with the online potential, we'll see what other things we can do. We can build in, but in the print portion, it can be hopefully something that a child can look forward to. We're going to start out quarterly, but it's just it's like an anthology every time it comes out. So if we can get enough of a backlog where we could do so responsibly, we'd love to maybe build up to bi-monthly if we could. But sure. Just thought I would show you because I happen to have them for some reason right in front of me. Claire and the Dragons came out.
Yes.
And Claire and the Dragons just happens to be some of our. Can you kind of show the some of the options that we have when we first released the book? So we've got the $1.99 Claire, which will lead to, in this case, I believe Claire and the Dragons is going to be $9.99 trade paperback. So we got Claire and the Dragons, and for $1.99, you can a parent can feel, especially if you walk into the store, like, well, how much is that? $1.99? Well, it's half the price of a regular comic book. Maybe a child would like to sample that, and that leads to the trade. But just as far as some of the cover options that we've done, we've got the $1.99 here. We do a clamshell kind of VHS variant that we do as well.
It
Of
looks
that
so
cover.
much like the real deal. It's nuts. You guys even thought about the sticker.
Yes. Yeah. So, well, so many of those come out and they're kind of like they've been in the, the rentals, and they've been in the used store. They got the chips and the dings and the peeled stickers. We thought for a child we'd make it fresh and new and something really nice on that presentation. We also
What's weird about that, honestly, is
Hmm?
that your target audience probably has never seen a VHS in their whole life.
Exactly. But their parents know what they are, so they kind of bridge that. They're like, we know what that is. We did a coloring cover version here, where that's the paper we can color on, but also leave the back completely blank so it could be a sketch cover as well, or the child could draw on it. And then more recently, we've started doing Seuss and other children book homages as well. So that's kind of that full range of what we try to come out with our number ones there to give everybody a little fun, maybe collectors something to pick up as well.
I like it also because it's I'm sure there's plenty of uncles and aunties out there and grandma and grandpas that would love to get their kids into comic books.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a good thing to.
I agree, and that's something that we're excited about too. And
Sorry about the phone.
oh, no problem. We've had a number of, as we've worked on some of this, and as I've talked to some creators about some of this, they get excited. It's like, I've got a 4-year-old, and this is exactly what I would love to see at a comic book store so that I can start introducing them to comics. And of course, even if comics, like I've said before, like for many people, become a fond memory, maybe something they come back to later. But even if it's just that, starting reading, starting your imagination, starting thinking about new places, new things, just igniting that imagination. If we can help with that process, we'll have done the job. If for every child, I know Andrea Molinari has been going to conventions more than I have, and he's had some of this good stuff, and it's so gratifying. He says, to hand that down to a child that's so happy that they've got something to read that they could pick up at the convention. And I said that's the whole thing with the launch books as well, is maybe bridging that gap. They go straight from their storybooks instead of handing them maybe a comic book that's, granted can be a little more complicated, right off the bat. Maybe have the launch books to where you take those and you go step by step into getting a little deeper into how comic books work.
That's perfect. All right, we've got a really great question from one of our regular viewers, Val. Mm-hmm. So have you ever considered small or medium-sized plushies to go with each comic of that character, like the dragon or the cat, such as to buy them as a set?
Yes, and of course, Scout has our division Tracker toys, and they came out with a Stabbity Bunny plush. So things are in the works, things are on the drawing board. Sometimes before we even get the series launched, we've already designed potentially some toys or figures. The timeline for that, and Tracker can only do so much, and budgets are only so much, but we do want to get there for sure. And I know I was speaking to Caleb, Super Cat's creator, and he absolutely would love to have a plushie. One thing I want to mention too, our kind of world debut as far as on the comic book convention stage will be at AwesomeCon, and we're going to be in AwesomeCon Junior area, where we're going to be one of the big booths. We're going to be involved in. Have three different areas for kids to interact. They have like an action live zone, and in that one, kids are going to be able to put on a Super Cat's cape and go through the standees and rescue a kitten and take it to the mom. Aww. And then we'll all clap at the end of that, and then at the very end, we'll draw some names from the people who have participated in that, and some people actually will win little Super Cat's capes. And we're going to do a pin the horn on the unicorn from our unicorn book, done by Don Hatfield. Hatfield. Sorry, Don Hanfield, and Joshua Malkin. I did get Joshua's name wrong. I wouldn't dare. But and then let's see. A really exciting thing will be that Seda Wolf, the now quite old 17-year-old, she'll be there with her book Soulstream, and she'll be doing a live reading and audience participation and reading the different parts of the slideshow. So there's all kinds of stuff, and of course we're going to have trading cards and stickers and all those things that you need to have. I mean, you've got to have things. So we will also be premiering, I think, more than likely, we'll be premiering Soulstream Series 1, which will actually have 11 different cards in that pack, with a couple of variant cards that can pop into there, including sketch cards that actually have sketches by Seda, or blank sketch cards that you could do your own thing or design your own mage. So...
Oh man, you've got us all. Everyone's ears are all perked up because we all love collectible cards.
Oh well, I'm glad, because we have the first series out, like I said, probably at AwesomeCon, and we've been trying to do collectible cards as we've gone with various series. We couldn't always get that together. Sometimes we've done die cut stickers, but we want to have a lot of fun stuff because we do want to build up to that Scoot box. You know, we got the Great Scout subscription box. And while we couldn't have while we are coming out with stuff monthly, there's not enough to really fill the whole box, but we could maybe once a year or twice a year kind of gather some stuff together and make a really fun box. We'll have some of those stickers and cards thrown in as well.
Oh yeah. So Val says she's happy to know that Caleb's Super Cats is included. She loves the book. And
Yeah.
Richard Chip says it's awesome that you're focusing on the child demographic.
Oh, well, thank you guys.
Near and dear to all of our hearts, for sure.
Yeah, there's nothing, I can't think of anything more satisfying or more important than kind of bringing the love of comics and of reading and of all the imagination and storytelling to another generation. Our all ages line is very, very important to us. And, once we got started, we made sure that we've got a lot of stuff in the pipeline. We're going to keep series coming. Of course, we've got this August, we'll have Action Tank coming out. And Action Tank is from Down Under. No, he does not ride around. Mike Berry is the creator there, and says he does not go around riding a giant kangaroo, just rides a bike. But
he's on next, so we get to talk to him.
Oh, well, I won't. Then I'm not going to talk anymore because he will tell you about Action Tank. I loved Action Tank. I still, it was one of those submissions where, you get so many submissions, you don't have a lot of time sometimes during the day to jump right in there. But I opened Action Tank and I read the entire graphic novel in one sitting. It's something special. So when Mike comes on, be prepared for something awesome.
I am. And what's the other thing that's crazy about it is he's joining us all the way from Australia. It just blows my mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they. I love the intrawebs. They're just so wonderful. It's really during the challenging times that we faced. I think we all got our Zoom and other meeting skills sharpened greatly, but we try to, now we've got that as another tool, and I can have meetings with creators all the time, even though we can also various places and circumstances meet now, sometimes maskless even. Yeah, it's so wonderful to be able to speak with Mike and in real time and to get some ideas and see what we're going to do with the series, because Action Tank is wonderful. So many of our series are going to be. I think many of our series are franchise worthy. They deserve their spot on the shelf right there next to Captain Underpants, etc. And I think over time we'll get there.
Absolutely. Oh, Val's asking the question that I wanted to ask. Have you considered approaching the school district's administrator to include some of the books in the school's curriculum?
Yes, we have, and we have some inroads into some of those options. And there's a few people that I need to get back to as well, just to kind of follow up. We have already done a couple of giveaways at school functions. There was a school that did a, last Halloween when we were still, very socially distanced. They did a drive-through, and they did all around their entire school. They set up little Halloween things to see, and they were giving out candy, and we gave out copies of the Soul Scream Ashcan, I think, at that time. So yes, we're very eager to do that. And if anybody knows anybody, or they're watching right now and they want to reach out to richard.rivera@scoutcomics.com, or go to our Facebook page, or just go to the scoutcomics.com and click on something and you'll reach somebody. But info there. We're very eager to get involved with some schools, and also library systems, or anything we can do, even if it's not necessarily one of our exact books, but maybe if it's just giving a presentation on the different people involved in comic books, and how the lettering works, and what the words are, and who does what, and what team you might want to be on, or might be like Seda or Mike Berry, who do everything. They're writing the stories, they're doing the illustrations, they're coloring it, they're lettering it, they're doing the design, and so some of us can't do all that. So some of us need extra people, and we need a whole team. But that's an exciting part too, because that's kind of like a band where everybody brings their own, their own flavor and adds to that whole sound. So yeah, I think I maybe be the drummer in such a band. But
so I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have budgies? Do you have budgies?
Oh yes, and many animals, but they tend to. I even covered them up just to help. It's helping a little bit, because
they don't hush.
When they hear me talking, they want to be talking too. They're very happy birds. Yes,
I love them so much. They have such great personalities.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got the first one that I had accidentally. It was downtown Kissimmee, and it came thumping up against the office window. So then brought him home, and then didn't want him to be alone, so got a companion bird, and now that seems to always be the case. Unfortunately, we've lost him, but the other bird was here, so I'm like, well, that bird needs a companion now. So I think now they're here to stay for sure. But that my dogs are right here. They're being very nice and quiet, even though I'm sure think it's time to eat. But
it's like, hurry up, Dad.
There's just so many great things going on at Scout, from like we're talking about subscription boxes, title boxes. I mean, you probably talked about the comic tags before. Those are super awesome. Have you seen the first wave? Have you seen them in?
We totally have them. We've almost sold out of Stabbity Bunny, by the way.
Oh,
full display, and we're almost out.
Well, that's great. I love those, and that was that was the brainchild of James Hake, who's come up with so much stuff. I mean, he's really been a great leader for Scout. The whole team is strong, and I think it helps that we've got a lot of people who are involved in the company that started out as creators. Easy to relate to other creators that way, I think.
Well, Richard, we love having you on. I know we'll have you on again, because you're always got your fingers in all the cool, creative, new things that are coming out from the Scoot and Scout. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you so much spending your time with us.
Well, Jen, it's been great.
Yep. Everyone say thank you with your hearts and your thumbs up, and just stay tuned, please, for Mike Berry, who's going to come up next, and we'll see you after.
You don't want to miss Mike Berry. This is going to be awesome.
I know.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bud.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Henri Compan. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the experience. This is Talking Shop, and I'm Miss Jen, broadcasting out of the front of my store here in the great state of Texas, near Houston. We're having an all scout day today, an all scoot scout day, which is awesome. Please welcome from the other side of the whole planet, Mike Berry. Hi, Mike. How are you doing?
Hi, Jen. I'm good, thank you. I'm pajamas at the bottom, but business at the top. So
That's
you know,
totally cool. If I could roll that way in the front end of my store, I would absolutely. So I've got one important question for you that I've seen your name written down, Mike Berry, on the front of your Happy Tank or the Happy Tank books, and then I see Mike Berry with an E other places. So what is the actual name?
well, hopefully you can see my little name tag underneath here, Mike Barry.
Yeah. See?
So it's A.
So we
where's
don't do it wrong.
There you go.
There it is. Perfect.
But yeah, I think I do feel for the American public having to navigate my Australian accent. Seems that even extends to my publishers at times.
I'll tell you. So you think it's just people mishearing you?
Yeah, I think so. Well, it's only happened once that I know of, but then it was in in something that ended up spreading around the internet. So that was was quite fun. And now I can not only Google my own name, but Mike Berry as well, and find myself as often as I want.
I actually have the same problem. My name is the most simple name on the planet. It's just Jen King, but for some reason people think I'm saying Jan or Kang. So
all right. So you really get me. You get it.
Yeah, I totally get it. We have very simple names that are easy to misunderstand, which is nuts. So in my searching around the internet with the difficulty of the spelling of the name, I feel like you are probably also in your day job a CIA agent because I can't find you anywhere.
Well, yeah.
I actually did find it. I found the Facebook page for your book, which is perfect.
Okay, good. Well, I am all around the internet, just in a bunch of secret pockets at this point, I suppose. Yeah, I haven't had any work in the mainstream comic industry before, so yeah, I guess there's probably not a lot of stuff out there. There's a bit of stuff probably around in Australia here, but we're just a tiny little place down the bottom of the earth, so I understand that you didn't find too much of me, and that's fine.
It's so funny to have you say that you feel like people will kind of just want to fumble through your accent, but what you really don't know is that all of us in America are like enamored with Australian accents and English accents. To
yeah.
We're like, just say any words, we're good.
Yeah, well, for me, it's strange because growing up, every worthwhile movie or show was, of course, made in America. So when I hear someone in America talking, I feel like I'm in a movie.
It's kind of interesting. My son's girlfriend is from Norway, and when you hear her speak English, there's no accent whatsoever because everyone in Norway learned their English from TV shows.
Yeah,
and there's
right.
no accent to them.
That's great.
Crazy. So tell us more about Action Tank. I love the art style. It's not like anything else out there. It's not your first work, is it?
Well, it's my first. It's my first solo main work, really. I've made a lot of web comics and I've contributed to a lot of small anthologies and things like that over the years.
Tell us about the weird comics. I have to know because so the people that watch our network are completionists, and when you say things like it's a weird comic, you'll never find it, they will try.
Okay. Well, look, they're not that weird, to be honest. I'm not that weird a guy, but they're small circulation, you would say. So mainly web comics, I guess. Okay. And yeah, a couple of crowd-funded anthologies that I was part of. So you can actually find all of them if you want to on MikeBarryWasHere.com.
So is it WAS or WUZ?
WAS. I was here, Yeah. So if you really do want to hunt through the back catalogue, you can do that. But yeah, I think Action Tank was a very a much bigger concept for me and more of a serious step into trying to make professional level comics. I guess I've had a 15-year career in advertising in the creative department, doing art direction and copywriting and creative direction. And so I've sort of accumulated a lot of different skills that actually come together really beautifully when you're trying to make a comic. So the idea of storytelling, the idea of moment selection, page design, book design, marketing the product, there's a lot of skills that are really handy when you bring them together in making comics. So
you do everything here, so you even edit your own books?
Well, I have until now, although I've been working with Richard and the team, and they've pointed out that in Australia we spell certain words differently, and like actually one of the things is the concept of the book is it's the story of a boy who finds himself on the other side of the solar system, and he has to get home in time for his mum's spaghetti carbonara, and and I spell mum the way we do in Australia, which is MUM. Mm-hmm. And it's surprising how often that word appears in the book, I've found out, having to go through and change it all. Mm-hmm. And I guess, I've loved comics for years. I've actually loved making them since I was a kid. But when I had kids of my own, I guess it wasn't really about me anymore. And, they love being read to, they love reading. So, and we worked out they couldn't read any of the comics I have on my shelf. So they're just not appropriate. So I thought I'm gonna make one that they can read. And once I'd made it and gone to all the trouble of making this 100-page graphic novel, I thought, well, maybe I'll print more than one. So so I did a bit of self-publishing with it and sort of developed 2 volumes that way. And then when I saw Scout launch Scoot and the goals of Scoot in particular, and the belief in the capability of kids and being able to respect their intelligence and their sense of humor and being able to meet them where they're at, that was just so aligned with my own goals. And I thought, man, maybe I could start distributing this book wider than where I can walk to from my house, which is I had fairly limited distribution here in Australia. Throughout most of the country now, but just I really knew this was a product that could work on a bigger scale, I think.
Was it kind of born out of stories you would tell your kids, or did you fully make the entire graphic novel in secret and then present them as a finished product?
Oh yeah, well, I didn't make it in secret, but I don't think they knew it was for them necessarily. When I say I made it in secret, I was like, get out of my room, I'm drawing,
Don't you know I'm making something special for you? Get lost.
Yeah. You'll love this. Now shut up. Yeah, no. They're actually wonderful. So they're 9 and 6, and they're really nice. They're kind of my biggest fans, and they're very very good salesmen too. So I think every single person at their school has a copy now. They're really good at, and I bring them to comic conventions sometimes. If I'm having a bit of a sales dip, I call my wife and bring the kids in, and suddenly the sales go up again. So.
What's your secret weapon? Because it's true. It's so true. If there's a kid selling at a booth, I'll buy whatever they have. I don't. I'll even go to garage sales and kids are selling lemonade, and I'm sugar free, so I can't have it.
Tip.
Sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Take it to my car. Take it home the kids, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny because my eldest son in particular, he's 9, and he's heard me do the sales pitch so many times now that he's pretty slick at it, and he's got his own little takes on it as well. It's really nice.
So has he ever described it in a way that you're like, I didn't see it that way, but I like it anyway?
Well, a few times he said, I have the self-published version here of the graphic novel. So a few times he said, that's me. That's me on the front. It's me. You want to read a story about me? I'm like, look, it's not you. It's kind of inspired by you. I mean, I think what I realized was I was originally going to make it about him, but then I realized if I want the main character to be afraid of something, or I want him to make a mistake, or I want him to stuff up and then learn, I don't necessarily want to dump that on my own kid, like, tell him he's afraid. Like it just didn't quite work. So that's where I actually had this thought of, so that the character is called the Boy. He's just called the Boy. And we don't really learn his name, at least we haven't so far. And I think what I've heard back from kids kind of between the lines of what they're saying to me is like, it really helps them feel like they are in the story. Like it's one less barrier. Like it could be them, like we don't know what the kid's name is. It could be your name. It could be my name. It could be his name, her name, So it seems to add a little bit of relatability to it as well, which is pretty cool.
I mean, as a parent reading it to a kiddo, that would be kind of nice to have it could be anybody.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I've read so many bedtime stories to my kids that I've worked out what I love reading and what I hate reading and never want to read again. So I was really trying to make something here that would be in the want to read again category, because it's designed for kids to read themselves, but it's also got the parents in mind. Some of those younger kids might want to have it read to them. And well, I don't know how many comics you've tried to read to kids. It can be a bit challenging because you're like, do I point at the word balloon? Am I here? I think at least with this one I've worked out, you can kind of just read the words as you see them, and the kids sort of look all around the page and they sort of piece it together. So.
Yeah, I think when the boys were young, we had one of Sergio Carolio's action Bibles, and I used to just point.
Oh, yeah.
So they could figure out where I was, because it's a lot of pages.
That's right. It's so heavy, isn't it? We have one of those as well.
Yeah, I need to find a way to get more of them, because I used to weirdly not know where I could get them wholesale, so I would buy them from Sam's Club because they were cheap enough that I could just buy them for what they had them for like $12.13 or whatever. Just bring them up to the store and sell them for the cover price that was on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are amazing pieces of work. It's like it was a lifetime of labor for him to put that all together.
Yeah.
Very cool thing.
Huge effort. Yeah.
So is the art style that you're using in Action Tank, is that something you created specifically for this book, or is that really kind of the style that you usually draw in?
No, it was made specifically for this. I think I've tried in the past, I've experimented with trying to do really realistic artwork. That's sort of where I started, I think. And then as I got more confident with actually creating comics and that, I realized, I can make it a bit more like the idea is it's more like handwriting, so everyone's handwriting is different. And so if you can actually sort of, and somehow your personality comes through in your handwriting, right? So what I really wanted was for a lot of me to come through in this book as well. it's a bit different from other work I've done, I think. I mean, I guess, if people do bother to go back and look at my other stuff, maybe you'll see some evolution of it or something. But I think particularly for me, the approach to coloring in Action Tank was really important. I think previously it was more like coloring in, so skin color, shirt color, background color. What I really wanted to do here was use color to express the mood of the story, the intent of the scene, create a sense of place, and but also just take it to that slightly more dreamlike, surrealist place. So it's not quite as it's something you wouldn't see in life. And I mean, we've got life all around us. We don't need more life. I need something else. So that's what I tried to do here.
It totally does the trick. Sean says, has a question. What would you say is your favorite project you've done and or been part of?
Oh, well, I'd have to say Action Tank. I think it's certainly opened up the most opportunities for me. It's had the most readership by a long way. And obviously it's given me a chance to start spreading the book around the world now with Scout. So I'm grateful mainly to my wife for giving me the time to create the first book, because in the end we had 2 young boys. It was kind of like, it was not an easy request to spend 4 or 5 months burrowed away in a room. So I'm really grateful she believed in that, what I wanted to do. And she still does. She's sort of the brains behind my whole self-publishing business, to be honest. She's just sitting there watching TV. Like
the support of someone who loves you, right? Because they're going to have your back.
Yeah. But she made it possible, I guess. And so then, and a lot of amazing stuff that I didn't expect to happen has happened through this series. So, I'm afraid it is definitely my favorite. I mean, of the other stuff I've got on my random website, I did do a fan comic called Spider-Man on Mars, which
what?
I quite enjoyed. Yeah, which was fun. It's only 9 or 10 pages long or something. But what else did I do? I did one called The Red Rope, which was that was my first attempt at making comics, really, which was I released a single panel every day for 70 days. This is kind of back just when Facebook was starting. That's how old I am and how long ago this was. But
I think we're both the same old.
Same vintage. Yeah. So I don't. And I've worked on some really great anthologies too, which is where I've been able to do more collaborative work. So I've been an artist working with a writer, or a writer working with an artist, or trying different things like that. So I love collaborating, but I also love being a complete one-man control freak. So I'm looking for all sorts of experiences, really.
Are you an artist that works practically or digitally?
I always start on paper. So I'm just looking around my desk here, so I'm sketching out my next book here. Where are we? So I sort of start with a very mini version. There it is.
Okay.
A mini version.
My brain doesn't work that way.
Yeah. It's a tiny version of the book, really. And so I always start there because it's about, for me, identifying what are the key moments, so it's getting the moments down and what's the connection between those moments. So whether it's a page turn or a panel to panel. And so I sort of find having a really mini version like that, it doesn't put any pressure on me to have amazing artwork. It's just about capturing the story. Then from there, I think what actually does happen is when you're quickly sketching really in a really free way, it's amazing. You sometimes really get a lot of energy into those images. And so I will often then scan those in and use those as the basis for what ends up being a final image, which I do create digitally. So, and then other times I'm really stuck. I'm in Photoshop or something and I'm really stuck. And so I actually just go back to paper and I draw something out, and then it sort of comes alive for me again and I bring it back in. So I'm sort of back and forth all the time.
Oh, that's so awesome. When I was growing up in comic books, everyone was practical and there wasn't such thing as digital. So the first time I ever saw someone working digitally is Tony Fleece came to do a signing at the shop, and he had just his iPad open and I was trying to figure out what he was doing. He's sitting there with his little pencil drawing an entire, My Little Pony book on his just while he's like talking to somebody, I'm like, how do you create and talk? I can't do
Amazing.
those two things at the same time.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I do find it takes a lot of my brain power to make comics. I think, like, which I actually love. I love that it engages so many parts of my brain. But for me, it is quite an intense activity. You know, I really just want to concentrate, and you know, I'm thinking of the words I'm using, the images, but then how does it work together on the page? How does it work in the bigger, you know, context of the book? So yeah, I just feel like my brain is always just like on 100% when I'm making comics, which is something I really love that feeling.
Yeah. So, you probably collaborate a lot with people all over the world. Have you become a morning person or a late night person to try to meet up with people on the other sides of the globe?
Well, I guess I'm just a person at this point because there's it's morning and night, so it's yeah. But like I said, I mean, I love comics so much. I love the opportunities I'm getting through this that I never expected. So I do not mind getting up early or going to bed late, or you know, and you know, yeah, I've got two fairly active boys to spend time with as well. So yeah, there's not a lot of time for sleep, but I mean,
It's so funny. They were saying, it's like, I don't know. We're trying to reschedule Mike because it's 7:30 a.m. his time there, and I was like, well, if he has children and all that, he's been up for an hour already.
Yeah, that's a sleep in. I was like, don't worry about it, guys.
It's like that's Sunday sleep in time. 7:30.
Yeah, that's right.
So do you have something that you've got planned or do you have like a second chapter, a second book for Action Tank, or are you working on something completely different for the next thing?
Yeah, so I've got so how it's going to work now is, so I've already drawn and self-published about 350 pages of Action
Wow.
Tank. So that'll end up being book 1 and book 2, which are going to come out through Scout. But the story's not finished, so I'm now working on book 3, which, you know, it does take me a long time because I sort of do everything myself. So there's a big writing stage, then there's a drafting stage, then there's so yeah, it does take me a while, but yeah, I'm really focused on bringing the series to a very satisfying conclusion at the moment. So you know, that'll probably be a couple of years from materializing that third book, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what sort of response the first book gets when it comes out in the end of this year, and then you know, the second book where I really ramp things up, not just in terms of the story, but in terms of what I made myself do. I think, like, what I tried to think about was, this could be the last book I ever get to make, so I'm gonna put everything I've got into it. I'm gonna push myself to try all the, you know, I'm going to try and make you, you know, maybe cry. I'm going to try and make you laugh. I'm, you know, just pushing myself in every way. So, yeah, the second book really does. It's not only like 2.5 times bigger. It's, yeah, it really puts the action in Action Tank, that second book. So.
Now, see, you've got me. Like, I don't know what there is about books that hit me in the feels.
Well, no promises, but I have had some good responses to it. So.
Yeah, I famously message creators in the middle of the night saying, curse you, maybe feel things.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it? Feeling something.
It is, because otherwise you just read something safe, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's the other thing. This is what I've learned through the process is, you know, the story is about a boy trying to get across the solar system for his mum's spaghetti carbonara, right? So that's essentially what happens. But actually the book is about, and I realized this after writing it, I don't know if that's normal, but, you know, I realized that it's actually about friendship, and it's about like wonder and, you know, pushing yourself to see what you're really capable of, you know, like these are all the themes that are in it that I just didn't realize were in it until, you know, I've had a bit of space from it now. And, you know, looking back through it, I'm like, yeah, wow, it's actually about a lot more than just, you know, trying to get across the solar system. So, and I think that's yeah, they're the greatest books, aren't they? The ones that are kind of, you're reading it on one level, but it's sort of speaking to you at another level. I think that's, you know, that's something I love to just keep aspiring towards, I think.
Yeah, even there's plenty of books that were made for kids that that kind of formed me as a child. Like Watership Down, made for kids, but it's totally about something else, really.
Yep, big time. Well, even the one of the recent Dogman books, I was reading it to my son, and I was just like, "Oh wow!" Like, it really caught me by surprise. So I was like, "What the heck? This is not what I expected from Dogman."
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to help kids work through those things and let them know that those emotions are normal.
Yeah,
and they should have them.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, we've run out of time. That makes me sad, but also I'm happy because it means that we're one step closer to be able to reading Action Tank.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what the release date is? Because I didn't know that when we came on, and I apologize.
Yeah. So we're actually releasing an issue 1, which is it's a 28-page introduction to the series, which is another reason I love working with Scout is their publishing strategy. So we're not bringing out a series of issues; we're just bringing out this first intro. So it's $1.99, 28 pages. It's got more or less the opening sequence from the graphic novel in it, but then I've adapted the end to sort of make it a more satisfying, sort of one standalone piece. And then there's a Q&A with me in there and stuff. There's all sorts of stuff. You get quite a lot of value for $1.99. So that was meant to come out 4th of August, but I think there was a small printed challenge or something. So it's going to be in a couple of weeks, I think, maybe the 18th or a little bit after that. So that'll just be the $1.99 issue 1, and then the full graphic novel will be coming out, I'm almost positive, in December. And then it'll probably just keep being released through various channels after that.
What a great time for it to be released. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mike, so much for joining us. I appreciate you so much. We'll have you back on and talk about it afterwards. We'll have like a post-mortem for all the reactions to the series, especially once we get toward the second book. So we can talk about the feelings that you made me feel.
Well, look, thank you. It's really nice to meet you, and thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We've got stuff coming up next, so you don't want to miss. See you guys.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit ComicShopLocator.com today.